Good morning. It's almost 5 here in Calgary, and we're going to do a back to basics program today. So have a strap handy, maybe a couple of blocks, and we're going to start on our backs. We're going to play through some cat and cow and lunge, and then up into standing for some poses, and then back down to the floor to finish up. All right, so grab your strap, come onto the floor, and we'll begin with a little bit of breathing. And just stay here and feel what's going on in your body. Okay. Now, grabbing hold of your strap, we're going to take the arms up to the sky and raise the arms to the sky and then back. So you'll see here that my shoulder is lifting off the floor. My elbow, though, is actually staying straight the entire time. So the movement is generated from here. It's actually the blade on the rib cage, but we can't really see that. But you can sort of out of the peripheral see your shoulder moving. And so the idea is, if you think about the blades moving around the rib cage, it's not your head or your neck that's doing the movement or your rib cage. It's just the arms and the blades and not your elbows. Okay, and then let that get comfy. Now take the arms over your head. So the arms are moving over the head and the arm bone is moving in the shoulder socket. So this is the articulating joint here, okay? So only move through the range where your rib cage isn't moving, and you don't have to hold hard to do the movement. And there's no pain, grip, and there's no like wobbling through the arms or any big clunk through your shoulder. Okay, lovely. All right, let that strap go. Okay, now let's come into hands and knees. Now you might need something underneath your knees, particularly if when you're on your mat, putting pressure here is really tough. So grab something and place it under your knees. And we'll just start here and just be here and breathe while you do that. And I want you to imagine you can really spread your hands wide and feel the whole bottom of your hand on the mat. Sometimes what can happen is we can fall way over into the outside or even collapse onto the inside, right? And so just notice how your hands are positioned. I'm not going to focus on the hands today. It's more that I want you to focus. I just want you to be aware of your hands. Yeah? Okay? All right, now from here, let's start to move into a cow and then into a cat. Cow and into a cat. Now, sometimes what can happen with this movement is that people can bend their elbows as they do the movement. Try your best to just notice how far you go without those elbows bending. And so that might shorten up your movement. That's okay. The idea here is to into how your body is actually moving, body, and what's moving and what's not moving, right? And to bring into awareness or shine a light on the areas that aren't moving as you thought they were. And this doesn't mean there's anything wrong. It just means that there's something moving that is not moving the way you thought it was. It's like the difference between forgetting a certain thing happened on a day of the week and then realizing that it was happening on another day of the week, right? It's like an awareness. There's nothing wrong. Okay, now from here, come up into kneeling. And if you've got something underneath your knees, keep it there. We're just going to do some shoulder rolls. So here, shoulders are going to come up and then you're going to roll back. So shoulders come up and the blades now move back towards your spine and then down. Now, oftentimes what can happen is as the blades come back, we kind of move that shoulder up, or the ribs can kind of poke forward, or the arms can lead the way. Any one of those. So as you come up, think about the blades doing the movement. And now that might be a bit tricky, right? Sometimes blades can get really sticky. And then we find ourselves wanting to move the arms and being a bit of a choo-choo train. And so just notice what's there and see the actual range that's there. And allow the coming down part to be really easy. Because sometimes if we make it too hard, the lower back can get way involved. Yeah, and so then slow it down so it's coming up on your inhale. Exhale, down. And just again, notice what it is that you're doing. Like, do you have a thing about pulling your ribs out as you do this movement or moving the arms back? It's just information and data about how your body is moving. And then out of that clarity, then we can make more accurate interventions for ourselves. So there's nothing wrong. It's just noticing what you're doing. Okay. Maintain, if you've got a blanket under your knees, maintain it, and then come into a lunge here. So we're going to come forward. Now, the articulating joints are knees, hips, and ankle. So you'll see that I'm dropping a little bit, but I'm not dropping because I'm driving the movement through my back, which is a totally fine movement. I just want you for today to notice the movement through your hips and your knees, particularly as well as the ankle. But just notice this. And notice where you really can move. Yeah? And if there's any gripping or holding up in the upper part of your body. The thing that is really important to remember about exercises and movement is that different practitioners might give you exercises, or you might read about exercises, we'll go to the other side, in Yoga Journal or Yoga International or Yoga Therapy Today, or really anywhere you can hear about exercises. And it doesn't mean that they're all good for you, right? It's a matter of your being able to check in with how your body is moving, and then you see how you and the exercise are together. Yeah? There's not a set protocol for back issues, or for shoulder issues, or for piriformis issues or knee issues. There's ideas, but ultimately we need to explore and experiment on ourselves. Really understand what's going on in our movement patterns and our breathing patterns, good, and what's driving us. Okay, let's go up to standing. Because even like the mental and emotional component's huge, yeah? Okay, so now we're here in standing. And feel the bottoms of your feet. Center of the heel, ball of your foot, base of your pinky toe. So you're on a tripod. And bring the weight over to one side, and then bring the weight over to the other side. Bring the weight over to one side. Bring the weight over to the other side. Okay, so now bring weight over to this side. Let this standing leg become strong, and then rotate this leg bone. So all we've done is let the weight come over to here. This leg's become lighter. Now we're rotating the leg bone in the hip socket. Good. Okay, and then over here, rotating that leg bone in the hip socket. Okay, over here. Okay, so now let's come over here and raise this leg up. And if you need to hold a wall, then do that. And so just become aware of how that leg is moving in your hip socket. Good. Okay, now from here, rotate that leg out and slide it up to the inner side of that leg. Yeah? So the idea was you move through the hip, you continue to move through the hip, and then your knee. Yeah? Good. Now, if you wanted to go further, think about moving that leg bone in the hip socket. Right? So then the pelvis remains level. Yeah? Good. And then other side. Rotate up. And if you wanted to go higher, just move that leg bone in the hip socket. And you can always grab that foot or the shin. There you go. So the idea is that your pelvis is staying forward. Whoops. Good. Okay, so now you're here, back into Tadasana. Let's come back to tree one more time and choose where you want to be. So I lost my balance like a little bit when I was a bit higher. So I'm just going to stay right here for this second round. And then feel the connection between the bottom of my foot and my standing leg. And then my hands can come together. So I can feel my hands touching. I can feel the bottom of my foot touching the standing leg and the standing leg touching the bottom of my foot. And now I can just feel those connection points. I can come to my breath and I can just feel whatever there is subtly, whatever there is mentally, whatever there is emotionally. And then come on down. Good. And then over to this side. You choose where to place your foot. Good. Perfect. All right, let's come into high lunge. So quasi or crescent lunge, you could also call it, but kind of like a warrior one, but we're not going to rotate this leg bone out. So we're here, and then bring the arms up into cactus, pressing the heel back. And then if it's available, the movement is through the arm bone up towards the sky. And then from here, you're going to step forward, place the foot on the ground, and now lean forward into Parsvottanasana. Good. And then come up. Bend this knee slightly. Arms are up into cactus. Then we're going to lean forward. Hands come back to the hips. And just taking that foot off a little bit off the floor into something that looks a bit like Warrior 3. Yeah? Whoops. Good. And then come back down. Good. And then other side. Lunge. Cactus arms. And then the arms move through the shoulder joint. Up we come into arms overhead if that range is available. So you can stop here, you can stop here, you can be here, you can even keep the hands right here if you'd like. And then bring the foot forward. Straightening the leg. Now the movement is through the front of the, like through the hips. Pelvis on your leg bones. Feeling those 3 points in the bottom of the feet. Good. And then coming back up. And then arms into cactus again. And then come forward, forward onto that standing leg, and then through up into Warrior 3. Now you might want to bend the knee, or you might straighten it. You might be down here, or you might be up here. Think about this piece as a teeter-totter though, your pelvis around that standing leg. Good, and then come down. Good, and then forward and then into Tadasana. Good. Take the legs wide. Let's just feel here. Legs come into rotation and then come down and then up, and just feel that, yeah? Hands onto either side of your leg, down and up, and then down and up. Okay, turn the legs back. Now turn this leg out. Now you'll notice I'm not saying turn the toes out, and that is totally on purpose because I'm wanting to focus here on your pelvis moving on your leg bones, which I know is a bit weird. It's not our common thing to say in yoga. And you'll see that all I've done here is I've tilted over that hip joint. So the pelvis has moved on my legs. Nose in line with navel, or navel, pubic bone. And then up. Rotate back. And then over we go. Nice. Okay. Lovely. Come back and stand. Do a very slight chair position. So the movement here is hip, knee, ankle. Hip, knee, ankle. Hip, knee, ankle. Great. All right. Feel your feet. Feel your legs. Feel up through your torso. Notice what is now different than when you were in Tadasana at the beginning. And then come back down to the floor. And now just feel yourself here. One leg comes up, followed by the other. Rotate those legs in your hip socket. Okay, other way. Lovely. Reach one leg out, the other knee stays here. Bring that leg across your body and into a twist. And then coming on back. Lovely. And let the legs come out straight. Breathing easy. And just notice what's there. Notice what's present in your body. Notice what's present in your mind. Feel your breath. And you can stay here for as long as you would like. You might even feel like you want to do a walk now, or you want to do some meditation, or a nidra, or a longer shavasana. Whatever it is that you choose to do next, take 5 breaths. Count them as you exhale, as a transition between where you are now and the rest of your life. You have a great, great practice, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Take good care.